use-by date too. It's an offence to sell this meat.
What's going to happen to it? Waste it.
But suddenly Barbara the butcher changes her mind.
If I hadn't actually gone, what I'll do is bag them up in one bag, come in there and mince them tomorrow morning.
Oh, gotcha.
Right?
So is that a statement?
Past its use-by date, it's illegal to sell this food. But who would ever find out if it's minced? The following day, the steak past its use-by date and now minced is put back on the counter and sold to customers as though it were fresh. And Tesco's dirty secrets are starting to spread. James and I see at least 5 members of staff breaking the law, recycling old food or changing dates. To us, this is more than a few bad apples. This is a culture. So why are they doing it? My boss Greg says the answer's simple.
That is what they keep using to judge my performance. If I keep training away, I'll be in trouble soon, and I don't want anyone.
Greg knows there's one thing he has to do to stay out of trouble.
Tesco is going to judge me by how much money I'm able to make. Last week, Wednesday, when it snowed, when we are meant to make 80,000 and we only made 60, this head office was in a way on our back. We have to recoup the money. Although they know it's snowed, they know we can't make any money. You understand? But they're still on your back.
Despite record profits in excess of £2.5 billion, Greg is feeling pressure from Tesco managers to sell meat past its use-by date and break the law. I'm actually beginning to worry now about some of the food which I've seen being sold behind the counter. I can't just keep watching or secretly filming or biting my tongue. But when the time comes to resign, I'm strangely nervous. I arranged to meet Kelly after work to break the news that I'm leaving. I ask her if a lack of staff is putting pressure on people to cut corners.
How many people are supposed to be behind the counter?
When
how
I
many
used
people
to work on there, how many loads more than that? Should be at least 5 people on the fish counter, but I never told you that. Meat counter would be 5, hot chicken would be 5, officially, but I never told you that.
She may be exaggerating, so I ask her about the regular changing of dates on food and the misleading of customers.
We're putting profit over customers' health here. I mean, what do you think?
It shouldn't be done. End of. I know it's not right, but I have been guilty of that a few times. But you know, that's responsibility, and I'd have to take responsibility for that.
But this isn't about Kelly or any other individual. This is about practices that senior managers at Tesco should have put a stop to. So I take my footage to a food safety expert, Malcolm Kane, to see what he thinks. I start by showing him what I'd seen at Sainsbury's, like the poor hygiene practices and the extending of sell-by dates.
Well, that's sharp practice at best. It's beginning to show a cavalier disregard for food safety and customer well-being.
Next, I show him footage of my Sainsbury's boss, Leslie, faking the fridge temperature records.
Put in a high one every so often, 2-4.
Clearly, I'm not impressed, right? I mean, it's falsified temperature records, and that very phrase, I put in the high one every so often, she's inventing them, in other words. There's no excuse for it. It's always down to poor management on the day.
But he was even more concerned about what we'd seen at Tesco, where Kelly had faked the temperature records on the hot chicken counter.
Of course it does. I mean, if someone got ill, I'd be in the shit.
You stop there. Well, what else can I add that she hasn't already said? It's quite clear that that is a deliberate and reckless act. I mean, it contravenes the basic requirements of the Food Safety Act.
And his view about the remincing of the partly cooked mince?
Everything there should be thrown away. All that mince that's cooked should be thrown away, discarded, because it's not fit for human consumption now that you've mixed raw and cooked.
Finally, I ask him about the dangers of cross-contamination. where Kelly goes from hot chicken to meat to the fish counter.
Uncomfortable, very uncomfortable with some of the things I saw there. The person had been handling raw liver beforehand, seconds beforehand, so the fish knives in the fish counter area are now contaminated with the bacteria from raw liver. Salmonella, Campylobacter, E. coli, whatever. Quite possible. I wouldn't personally, as a consumer, if I knew a store was operating to those sorts of standards, A, I'd complain, and B, I wouldn't buy product from them.
In 6 months, we've seen sell-by and use-by dates being extended on fresh food, dangerous handling of meat and fish, records being falsified, and food unfit for human consumption being sold to customers. It's time to take our evidence to the companies. Back at the BBC, I've received their responses. I asked for an interview with the senior manager at both Sainsbury's and Tesco, but both companies said no. Instead, they sent statements. This is from Sainsbury's. Sainsbury's takes any matter relating to food safety extremely seriously. On receipt of the information provided by the BBC, we launched an immediate investigation at our store. As a result, we have identified some instances where our procedures had not been followed correctly and have taken the necessary action to ensure that these matters are addressed. Any local breakdown in procedure is entirely unrepresentative of the hard work and commitment to the high standards displayed every day by our Sainsbury's store colleagues. Based on the information provided in advance by the BBC to Sainsbury's, we cannot see that food safety was in any way compromised.
Here's a statement from Tesco. This programme paints a deeply false picture of our business with a small number of isolated incidents. We look vigorously at the store and our suppliers, and we are satisfied that any incidents captured on film were not representative for the high standards we insist on. That said, we take allegations of this nature very seriously and, as a precaution, have retrained all counter staff in this store. Our customers should not be fooled into thinking that this programme has uncovered systematic failures or that the public is at risk. Customers trust us to provide them with safe food of the highest quality, and we would never do anything to jeopardise that trust.
What James and I had seen while working undercover betrayed the trust that many customers give to these supermarkets. And neither Sainsbury's nor Tesco lack the money to get these things right. The drive for profits hides secrets we'd never expected to find. We'd heard from many whistleblowers and knew what we'd seen might have gone on in supermarkets throughout the country. For us at least, shopping in a supermarket will never be the same again.
If you've got concerns about activities in your workplace or suggestions for a topic for a future whistleblower programme, please call the BBC Action Line on 08000 565 450. One of the most memorable voices in music and yet one of the industry's great enigmas, Imagine, profiles the reclusive Scott Walker at 10:35 here on BBC One.